The whisper came from inside the box, a thin, reedy sound, like dry leaves scraping on concrete. I froze. I knew I shouldn't have been there. My old factory job paid nothing. The listing promised unbelievable money for a single shift, 5,000 credits for 8 hours of quiet observation. It felt too good to be true, and it was. The job was simple. Walk the numbered aisles of a vast, empty warehouse. Listen for anything unusual from the hundreds of plain cardboard boxes. Mark the coordinates on a clipboard, and wait for my relief. The only rule: do not interact with the contents of the room. My first relief, a man with wide, frantic eyes, practically sprinted past me, muttering about the patterns before vanishing. I was alone with the boxes. Most were silent. Some hummed. Others felt strangely warm to the touch. One box, in aisle 4, position 12, always smelled faintly of brine and ozone, like a distant ocean storm. I marked it, moved on. The pay was too good to risk. But then came the whisper. It was distinct. A sound like a desperate plea, just barely audible. I told myself it was the ventilation. Or my imagination. On my third shift, a box in aisle 7 pulsed with a soft, internal light. I stared at the glow through the cardboard. It seemed to expand, then contract. The rule replayed in my head: do not interact. But the light was too mesmerizing. My hand trembled. I lifted the flap. Inside, a miniature room shimmered. A single candle flickered on a tiny table, casting long shadows. On the table, a perfectly scaled book lay open. I leaned closer. The text was microscopic, yet I could almost make it out. Then, a shiver. The candlelight grew, the shadows lengthened, and the tiny room began to expand, pulling me in. I stumbled back, slamming the lid shut. The light persisted, brighter now, pushing against the cardboard. I dropped the clipboard. The whisper returned, louder, clearer, calling my name. The box started to hum, a deep, resonant thrum that vibrated through the floorboards, through my bones. I stared at the sealed box, the light now blinding through the seams. It was no longer just a box. It was a doorway, and it had opened for me.